What's going on, YouTube? Nathan back with another presentation. Hope everyone's having a safe, wonderful weekend. As you see the title of the video, as you see my mood, this has been one as for sports wise, very depressing. Um, Again, thank you for the support I'm getting on the channel. As I've said, some of these topics are not easy to talk about, but I think the importance of just having a dialogue and starting a conversation is important. So thank you to all those that have been supporting the channel. I appreciate the love. And you've seen the title. Oh man, there's what we like to talk about, but I think that there were certain highlights for me for whether it's football, basketball, baseball, it doesn't matter. There's always for me a point of reflection. What could have gone, what went right, what didn't go right, what could be improved, and you're going to see. I'm going to talk about the Wizards. I'm going to talk about the Mystics, Orioles, and I'm going to continue the conversation about behavior, fans and their behavior at the recent events. So just a quick recap. I do want to take the opportunity to apologize. I had some internet issues in the last video. Might consider taking that video down because it was I looked at it as very laggy, very choppy. Audio was really messed up. So I do apologize for that. Also, too, I think the weather was playing a role in that. So in that stream, I kind of Kwame Brown and Stephen A. clapped back at him with low lights. I talked about my girl, Kalani Brown, as she was waived by the Atlanta Dream. I'm going to kind of touch on that. I'll get a little bit more today in this video. I talked about the Wizards and how I gave a score that they needed to win. It was a must-win Game 3. And then the Orioles, obviously, the state of emergency with the Baltimore Orioles. So, start with the Wizards. Let's just call it what it is. I'm gonna just for the record, I'm wearing a Wizards jersey. This shirt will get burned after tomorrow. They're done. I have no faith. I have no faith in this team whatsoever. I think this was a reality check for the Washington Wizards. They just do not have the answers for Scott Brooks. Scott Brooks just don't have the answers for Doc Rivers, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris. I mean these guys. I'm looking at the box score. I mean, Bertans, Ish Smith, Robin Lopez, Garrison Matthews, Isaac Bonga, Neto, Alex Lynn. They're doing absolutely positively nothing. I mean, they're getting but maybe besides Bertans, but they're getting the skate. they're getting a hall pass. They have not. They're not showing up, and it's getting. The adjustments are not there, and they just have no answers. The Wizards in the offseason, I told y'all, they need to get some length. Okay, I personally think you just need to just start all over. I think you can trade. I think at this point with Russell Westbrook, and he's shown that he's still got something left in the tank. If you're Tommy Shepard, if you're listening, I think you can get some value for Russell Westbrook. Bertans, listen, we gave him $80 million. We let's find a trade partner because we gave us to pay a guy that kind of money and the performance he's had this whole season, just up and down, no consistency, is ridiculous. I'm starting to think I thought the Andrew Nicholson contract was bad. This is actually is just disgusting. To give a guy $80 million, 31 minutes, 20% from three, 33% from the field, 8 points. This is a guy we paid $80 million to. So the Wizards obviously need another wing shooter. Okay, they need length. They needed a wing defender. They need somebody. They need like a Gafford. We'll see what Thomas Bryant looks like next season. But I mean, obviously they didn't have. I know he's Denny out of Adija. I know he's out for the year, and Thomas Bryant's out for the year. But they need this roster has to just be revamped. It just has to be. Because if this is the team going forward next year, and this is what you're banking on, if you're Tommy Shepard, be prepared to be mediocre next year. So this is who I think is going to stay. I personally think Ish Smith will be back. Garrison Matthews, Gafford, Nito. I don't know. I still think I think you can find some value for Russell Westbrook. I think you can find a partner for him. Alex Lynn had some bright spots. I could see him just being a guy coming off the bench. Robin Lopez is a veteran. He didn't do too bad. But Bertans, I just think Bertans. It's just this team is just. It's not. It's just not. This is a reality check. But if they win a game, if they win game 4 tomorrow, they're going to lose game 5. Because they just have no answers. And Scott Brooks, in the 5 years that he was here, did nothing. He's done. You will not see him back on. He will not be the Wizards head coach next year. Now, if you're Ted Leonis, now do you see? Now, if you get the picture, instead of paying so much attention to Alex Ovechkin, which I respect, you also own the Wizards, the Mystics as well. So they're done. I just don't see it. I really don't. I don't. This was actually a good game. I enjoyed watching it. The Mystics, they're playing. The first couple games they're playing down to the competition that were bottom feeders, and then they're playing up to the competition against contenders. That's kind of throwing me off. That's giving me some weird vibes. But this was obviously a good game. My favorite quarter actually was late in the fourth. Late in the third quarter. Excuse me. What was it? I think they went up, I have my notes here. Hold on, excuse me. Right here. They used a 30. I made sure I had it right there. It had a 13-0 run. But I just think, again, Washington just takes bad, unnecessary shots when it's needed. I think it was 70. I want to say it was like 76, 75, or 75, 74. Ariel Aikens, she pulled up at the top of the key. And I'm like, okay. But they just had no answers. I think Connecticut went on on a 6-0 or 7-0 run after that. But overall, I think the shooting's getting better. But again, I think when I look at the box score, Washington shot 39% from the field compared to Connecticut. Shot 50%. Tina Charles was the leading scorer again. I just don't. With all due respect, as much as I'm a fan of Tina Charles, that's what I said in the last video. Creating shots for others. Like I'm looking at example. Natasha Cloud played 35 minutes. She shot 16%. Well, I'm around that up. 17% from the field. She missed 3 threes, 1 of 6 from the field. There's sometimes where you have to create a shot for someone like Natasha Cloud or Tina Charles. Maisha Hines Allen's another great example. 3 of 14 from the field. And 21, I mean, that's 21%, and she missed 4 threes. She had 11 points, but she had a double-double. But I'm just saying, there are some guys that that's just W. It's in the NBA too. You got it. You can get a shot for yourself, but can you get a shot? But again, like Natasha Cloud, Maisha, I mean, they're all show that they're all capable scorers, but there's sometimes where you have to help them create a shot. And I mean, Tina Charles shot 50% from the field, but 22 shots. But I'm just saying the amount of shots she's taking, I feel like some of those shots she could create shots for the others. Like Erica McCall, she only played 9 minutes. I don't know why we didn't have her starting today, last night, but that, it's all good. She missed two shots from the field, so she had a minus 12. And Cindy Wise had made 4 threes, but really those 4 threes, she didn't really do anything on the defensive side of the ball. She had 2 rebounds, she had an assist, but she had a minus 6 positive differential. I mean, the Mystics, I think there's good shots and there's bad shots. You have to understand, again, know your offense. I feel like they're still learning each other, and I just don't know. I mean, I feel like they're playing. I feel like they're getting better, but when you have, they took 33s according to the stats here on for the game. Only made 9. Ariel Atkins took the most threes. Like, that's ridiculous. That's 30%. There's no way. Even after me personally, if I'm taking the 6 to 10 from 3, I missed it. Okay, maybe I need to change it up. Maybe I need to find a way to either come off a pick and roll, or someone like, again, Tina or Natasha or Sydney help me create a shot. So I think the Mystics are getting better. But I think they're still learning each other. And again, I'm just not really sold on this team. I'm not really sold on the roster. I still see a roster cut, or I see a trade. That's just me. And then what was really weird, he put Kira Lawson in there for 3 seconds and then took her out. I didn't understand that. Stella Johnson, she's recovering from ankle surgery, so she probably will be back, I don't know, sometime probably before the All-Star break. So I know we fall like 1-3 in the Commissioner's Cup, which will be played like in Arizona. That's actually kind of cool. They came up with that. So how am I understanding it? I think if you win, the players, I think it's like 30,000 or 40,000, the team will win. And like the losing team gets like 10 or 12. And then I think the MVP gets like $5,000 or $6,000 additional. That's actually not bad. I actually kind of like that. Because I think it gives them, I think it's like more competition. I think it makes them play harder. It's like also like the play-in tournament. So definitely for sure, it could have been better. And let me just see off the top of my head. I don't know who they play next. It's been kind of hard to keep up with the Mystics. The next game they play is Las Vegas. That's going to be tough. Las Vegas actually just came off kicking. Who was it? Connecticut's ass. Was it no Indiana? Excuse me. I think they like blew them up by like double digits, like 113. It was 113-77. So they're coming off that win. So actually the Mystics probably keeping that game close, but I think the biggest thing is the shooting has to improve. And I think communication on defense as well. Um, my prediction for that starting lineup, I really think he should have. The front court's fine, but I think he should have Natasha Cloud at point, let Kiera Lawson start at shooting guard. Let's put unless I want to switch Maisha and Ariel because I think those positions are interchangeable, and let's just take it from there because majority of minutes are coming from Tina. She played 36, and then second behind that was Ariel, no Natasha, and then Ariel. So I think Natasha Cloud is still the point guard for sure. So I'd say I would start Natasha, Kiera Lawson, Ariel, Maisha, and Tina. I think again, he's still working out the kinks. Personally, he's still working it out. So other than that, it was a good game. I still think the Mystics wants to get Della Dawn back and then the Emma Beastman after the Olympics. I think this is a team to be. I think when healthy, I think they're top 2, top 3 in my opinion. The Baltimore Orioles are going to get swept tomorrow. Lost today. The only run came from DJ Stewart. Billy Hamilton hit a home run in today's game and last night's game. I think the last time he did that was 2014, something like that. This is disgusting. I couldn't even finish watching this game. I had to turn it off. That's how bad it was. There has to be some type of an adjustment if you're Brandon Hyde. You have to make. I don't really know what else that you can say. I really don't. I think the Orioles are going to be, and once again, are going to find themselves being the number one overall pick next year. I stand by it. I believe that at the rate they're continuing, because the Diamondbacks snapped their loser streak today, but the Orioles are on pace to lose 110 games. Now, I don't think they'll be the worst team. I still think that's the Pirates. But Lucas Giolito pitched an absolute gem. Well, I'm sorry, they did get swept today because it was the fourth game. I apologize. Threw 12 strikeouts. I'm looking at the box score. Cedric Mullins is proven. To me, he's definitely proven he's our leadoff hitter. Trey Mancini 0 for 3, but he got injured. So again, I still think he's Anthony Santander. He's still working his way in the lineup, coming back off of that ankle injury. DJ Stewart, I don't care what people are saying. He's kind of starting to prove. He's starting to silence some critics. I know people were kind of ready to write him off, saying, you know what, it ain't going to pan out here for him. Tyler Nevin, yesterday, welcome to the show, had his first hit. Definitely, I see him definitely being a part of the team for the future. I'm a fan. Was a fan of his dad when I grew up when his dad was with the Padres, San Diego. But again, Keegan Aiken, 4 innings and 2 batters. He gave up 5, a run, walked 2, struck out 4, and then the White Sox are just a better team. But I expect a little bit more when you only have combined 3 hits. And 2 of them came from Cedric Mullins and 1 from DJ Stewart. Your offense was DJ Stewart with the home run. That was in the first inning. I really don't know. I just feel like, there's nowhere to look but up. And they are coming home and they play the Twins. And mind you, the Twins just swept them. But are you ready for this? I'm guaranteeing they're going to snap their losing streak tomorrow. I guarantee it. I guarantee you the Baltimore Orioles are going to snap their 13-game losing streak. The Diamondbacks did it. Well, it's now Monday, but they did it Sunday. I guarantee it. Write it down. They're going to snap this 13-game losing streak. Let's get into these sports and fans. I talked about this in the previous thing last night. Again, I don't know what else I could say. I just think that we got to really start addressing this behavior. I really think, again, we're just in this society where we don't think about the consequences. It makes no sense. Again, I want to put emphasis on this. We haven't been able to do a whole lot of things for 14 damn months. For me, to pay a ticket, whether they go to Madison Square Garden or go see the 76ers, go see the Celtics, go see the Hawks. And we have this kind of behavior. It takes away, and it's not just in basketball, football, baseball. I'm just giving you examples where this behavior, where we have people, and again, and it just, I think, and also too, I use an example where there was a husband and wife, and it was when Russell Westbrook was with Oklahoma. They were playing the Utah Jazz, and Westbrook was going at some guy and his wife. Now, supposedly, according to the guy, Westbrook was saying some things, and Russ was, and vice versa. That they tried to sue him for $100 million, and that case got dismissed. The same thing with that chick that went at LeBron just recently when he played the Hawks. If they, again, not thinking about the consequences. I'm telling you, the way that today's athletes are and the way today's fans are, we're in this society where, particularly when it comes to athletes with the type of money they make, well, if they lay a finger on me or they say something disrespectful, I'm going to use that to an advantage to sue. Emotional distress, or, this, blah, 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 blah. Then you had some fan throw a water bottle at Kyrie Irving. What was that for? Now, I applaud the fans that pointed the guy out. But we can't keep ignoring this. This needs to be, even though we're having a conversation, there needs to be more done. A guy spits on Trae Young. Just suppose Trae Young would have looked back and cocked somebody in the face. Then what? See, we're not, again, goes back to what I said. We're not thinking about the consequences. And personally, when you think about it, that takes away the moment. Because the Brooklyn Nets, whether you like it or not, they're going to eliminate the Celtics. Even though Jason Tatum the other night just dropped a 50 piece, but he can't do it by himself. Jaylen Brown's not there. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, the 300 monster. They're just too much for Boston. My question to that fan was, why'd you do it? Was it worth it? Now, suppose Kyrie would have reacted like West did and went up there and confronted the fan. Then what? We got to do better. We got to do better because we're taking the moment away from this. We haven't seen these guys in 14 months. Now, Stephen A. brought up a good point. Let me actually find that video. He did bring a great point into this, and I kind of agree with it, but I didn't agree with it at the same time. But it was something to think about. I'm going to share it in a second. Just give me 1 second, please. Thank you. Okay. And I did not forget to get into my WNBA point. I wanted to make a point on something. I wanted to make a point on that. We're going to get into this first.
NBA come down hard enough on fan behavior?
I don't think so. I think they need to be a bit stiffer, a bit tougher, because I think that there is cause for concern. A dear friend of mine who's an executive in the NBA, been very, very well connected, has been a part of the NBA for the last 30 years or so, brought something to my attention that I had never thought about before, to be quite honest with you. I never put the pieces together. And I was really, really interested in coming on the show and sharing it with the both of you. Talked about the elements that exist that should heighten our level of awareness and concern as it pertains to the modern day athlete. And there's two things going on that can't be ignored. To a lesser degree would be the first one, gambling. If y'all recall, a little more than 18 months ago or so, that landmark decision by the Supreme Court basically lifting federal bans on sports betting in particular states. You couldn't gamble on sports outside really the state of Nevada. You just wasn't something that you were allowed to do. And the federal courts, the Supreme Court actually struck down a federal ban on sports gambling that prohibited betting on sports in most states. And since that, they left it up to the states. Well, what has happened? Not all states like Connecticut and California, they haven't legalized gambling on sports or whatever, but legislation has been proposed in some of those states, according to what I've read. But New York allows it, New Jersey allows it, Maryland allows it, Michigan allows it, Pennsylvania allows it, Delaware allows it, Illinois and Indiana allow it, stuff like that. And so when you consider the fact that you can go into an arena like Philadelphia, somebody told me, and they said they wanted to get Wi-Fi. And just to get Wi-Fi, you had to get like a Bally Sports app or something like that on your phone just to be able to get the app. Well, what that does is it makes gambling easier and more accessible to the customer out there. So you go to a game instead of a casino and you just bet a few $100, a few $1,000 or somebody or whatever, and then you see them messing up in the game, who knows how that could cause you to react. That's one element. Here's the bigger element that we've also ignored, particularly since the passing of George Floyd's murder. Okay, because since Derek Chauvin was convicted of murder, we all know that George Floyd was murdered. Think about the social unrest that took place over the last year. And think about how all of these athletes, particularly with NBA, WNBA, NFL athletes at the forefront. We've all spoken about the fact everybody hasn't embraced that. Matter of fact, millions upon millions of people have been against that. They think that athletes should shut up and play. They think they should stay in their place. They believe that politics should have absolutely nothing to do with the world of sports. We want to be entertained and we want to go home. We know all of this. This is the first time because of COVID that the fans have had an opportunity to be in front of these individuals. Molly, you made the adroit point of pointing out yesterday how it seems to happen to the black athlete. It's not the white athlete that's getting spit on, that's getting popcorn thrown at them or anything like that. It's the black athlete that has suffered from this. Well, it was the black athlete that was standing up and protesting for a righteous cause on behalf of us as a society and particularly their community. There's a whole bunch of people that didn't like that or wasn't close enough to them to react. Now there are. And that could be a reason why we're seeing some of the things that we're seeing. I want to hear y'all response to that.
I think those are two very interesting points. First, I'll say I think the league, although I'd like to know when the Knicks release a statement saying the appropriate authorities, name the authorities. Do you mean the league? Do you mean the law? Because the league...
I would assume the law, Max.
Okay, me too, but
Yeah.
I'd like to know explicitly. It didn't escape my attention either that this fan who spat on someone got the same punishment that Charles Oakley got for living, apparently, thrown out and arrested. But at any rate, I'll say this. When you ban a fan indefinitely, I think you've done your part. Now it's up to the legal authorities, right? And Trae Young said he didn't want to press charges. That's a menschy thing to do. Hopefully the guy's learned his lesson. Maybe Westbrook will want to press charges. But that, to me, Stephen A., is a legal issue separate and apart from the league. As I said yesterday, when you buy a ticket and enter an arena, you have not exited civilization. You are still in you're still in the United States of America. It's not some special embassy that doesn't count as part of America, some foreign embassy where the rules are somehow different. You're subject to United States law, to the laws of the state in which that arena is. So, all that stuff should be obvious, right? And if someone wants to press charges, good for them. Behave yourselves like people, please. Fans, right? You're not animals, you're people, and treat players as people also. Okay, that's one. But I want to address your point, Stephen A. I want to engage with that point. It's more interesting to me. I think that against the backdrop of what this country's experienced in recent years, sports is a great diversion. And I think the greatest consumer product is entertainment because the stakes feel real, but in fact, they're trivial. The stakes are actually trivial. If your favorite team wins or loses, right? This is not 2,000 years ago where city-states are going to war. Washington versus Philadelphia, they're actually at war. The sports represents that sort of thing. My city's better than your city. But the stakes are actually trivial. But, Stephen A., when you count in things like the protests and civil unrest along racial injustice lines, when you factor in gambling, when people actually have money on the line, now the stakes feel realer. You know why? Because they are realer. And suddenly sports goes from, wow, this is an amazing almost drug that gives you the feeling of real world stuff. But in fact, it's okay. In the end, it's not going to change your life. Two, actually, this might be life changing. I have money on the line here. Actually, that athlete represents a larger political struggle that is actually real to me. And his winning and that team's winning means more power to the other side. I think those are things worth considering. I'm glad you brought it up.
A couple things that when hearing that, because I wasn't the only thing. I looked at other videos, but that particular one from First Take kind of stood out. Can we take gambling into consideration? Yes. But that still does not give you a right as the fan to go in these venues and act a fool. I mean, for example, I would use baseball back in the day, like mid-1900s. the gangs, particularly when it came to baseball. A perfect example is the Chicago Black Sox scandal. Google it. Go do your research on that. They were paid to lose. Gambling. Losing money sucks, yes. But as a fan, that does not give you the right to, one, spit on a player, two, make vulgar and racist comments, according to John Morant's folks, towards them, throwing popcorn on Russell Westbrook, a water bottle at Kyrie Irving. These are just multiple examples. These are just fans that think nothing can happen to them. And unfortunately, let's just call it what it is. Politics gets in everything. I have made multiple videos on this. I told y'all this. Politics, no matter where you go, whether it's work, school, it doesn't matter. Politics will creep into every little thing. Because again, the power of social media is real. When you see an officer kneel on another man's neck for damn near 9 minutes, you have to personalize that. When you see all these different events happening around us, you have to personalize it. And then on top of that, people expect you to respond. Well, how do you feel about this? Example. I did a video review on the WNBA 144 documentary. That scene where Courtney Williams was like, I came down to this bubble to get paid. Listen, we can all, I'm just basically paraphrasing. She said, wait a minute. Now all of a sudden we're going to stop playing basketball because of another case of a black man being killed by a cop. And all of a sudden we want to stop. We don't want to play basketball anymore. Like, for real, what are our priorities? The same thing with the NBA bubble. After that, half the Lakers and the Clippers, they didn't want to play. You had other guys like George Hill, using as an example, who didn't want to play. Everybody didn't want to be in the bubble. Everyone said, let's just go back home. Let's all protest. Because unfortunately, again, you have to personalize it. And people expect you to say something now. I mean, what are they supposed to do? Just sit there and go, oh. It has to be talked about. Because if it doesn't get talked about, if for example, if Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant didn't say anything about George Floyd, they're getting called out. Because you guys don't understand too, a lot of these athletes, whether it's football, basketball, maybe baseball, maybe hockey, they come from backgrounds where the system keeps them at a certain place. Carmelo Anthony is a great example. Coming out of West Baltimore. Other guys coming out the hood. Steven Jackson and George Floyd are another great example. These athletes have every right to talk about certain issues. Example, when Jim Brown called Kareem, Muhammad Ali, and other athletes to the table to bring awareness to social injustice. Athletes are humans too. They're humans. Just look at, for example, the Naomi Akasa, the tennis player. They fined her $15,000 because she doesn't want to talk to the media. She's human. These athletes are human. They go home too. They go home to loved ones. But because they make $100 million or more, they're supposed to just worry about their sport? So tomorrow, if let's just say something happened and athletes don't respond, don't you think that don't you when you go, wow, you like wow, I'm not going to talk about this? So I disagreed with that. I agree, but then I disagree because unfortunately, we have to talk about because a lot of these instances that we have seen with over the last almost now for as long as we've been in existence, we have to personalize this stuff. But the biggest thing at the end of the day, yes, I agree with what Max said. I would like to know, you turn it over to the authorities. Who'd you turn them over to? The police? The league? The same thing with Boston. The NBA dealing with them, the police, Boston police authorities? Who? But you have fans that act like nothing can happen to them and don't think about the consequences. That's the key. That's the elephant in the room that no one's talking about. Well, it is. Well, let me not say elephant, but that's the biggest thing. You have fans that think nothing can happen to them. What if I throw popcorn at Russell Westbrook? They ain't gonna do nothing about it. If I say something disrespectful to another basketball, the opposing basketball team's family, they ain't gonna do nothing to me. If I throw a water bottle at Kyrie Irving, he ain't gonna do nothing. I think people, and again, I told y'all this too. This is where the media spins the narrative. See, the media the gambling thing is an excuse. You just have fans that just are looking for attention the wrong way. And we got to start holding ourselves accountable. I don't have a banner for it, but I wanted to get into just a quick recap. I talked about what the Atlanta Dream, they waived my girl Kalani Brown, and it's not she's one of my favorite players coming out of Baylor. I watched her, when she was with Los Angeles. He went with Atlanta. I think that I was listening to Complex Sports Podcast. Alexi Brown was on that, and I'm crossing my fingers. I really want to do an interview. I want to interview her. And she talked about her situation, how, she didn't hear anything from Minnesota, and then she was away from Chicago. She talked about how they need to expand the roster to at least 50. I think there are 12 teams. Now, according to the Players Association, and that's where I think as a league, you kind of have to hold their feet to the fire. Because instead of worrying about money, what about protecting them? The fact that Kalani Brown was a first-round pick, and in 3 years, in 2 teams in 3 years, and now she's a free agent, is ridiculous. But let's call it what it is. And I know this may go rub some feathers the wrong way, but I think these coaches, these teams have favorites. They play favoritism to certain players and to the type of player that they want. I'm not making it about race. I'm not. I understand where I'm coming from on this. They have their team set. Lexi Brown, she should have honestly just said, you know what, Cheryl Reeves, she should have been a big woman and just communicated with me with the situation instead of just playing these games. Call him out. Be real. Same thing with Kalani Brown. Hey, Mike Peterson was under Coach Reeves' coaching tree. And I don't want to hear, it's matchups. Or, maybe she doesn't match up well against this team, match up well on that team. That's bullshit. I seen her at Baylor playing against smaller opponents. when she was in Los Angeles with the Sparks, smaller opponents, and I saw what she could do in the bubble. So let's do away with the matchup narrative. Lexi Brown, before that concussion she suffered in the bubble, was shooting the ball. I believe she would average 26 a game. I don't even know the kind of scorer she was when she came out of that school in Durham. I know what she was capable of. Alana Coates, South Carolina, same thing. I know what these girls are capable of. I see the potential they could bring to a WNBA roster. But also, too, not just them as free agents, but if you look at some of these teams, go look at the box scores for some of these teams and see how some of them don't even play a single minute. I gave you an example earlier where Karen Leslie played only 3 seconds. And unfortunately, I'm gonna go there, but you got some of these girls who are far better. Lexi Brown, for example, Kalani Brown, Alana Coates, are far better than some of the talent you're seeing right now in the league. From what I've seen. And absolutely, it needs to, it has to, and we have to have this conversation. It has to be talked about. Because unfortunately, there are some really great players out there. Let me just see. I'm gonna show y'all I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. Like JaVale McGee says as an example. I believe she's a free agent. Kalani Brown's a free agent. Kalina Lewis is a free agent? Well, hold on. Wait a minute. When did that happen? What the fuck? Bro, when did Kalina Lewis become a free agent? Yo, okay, that shit is crazy. Okay, that's crazy. Shatori Walker Kimbrell is another example. Who else is on this list that I know? But Tierra Ruffin Pratt, former Mystic. Kobe Thornton, Alexis Prince. Just looking at who else is on this list. Those are just off the names off the top. But at the end of the day, there's no way in hell. I just gave you multiple. I'll leave it in the description for y'all to see. But if you really think, we can all sit there and twiddle our thumbs and go, okay, well, we really want them on the roster. But I think each coach has their favorites. Because again, I use an example like Lexi Brown. She could fit on a team like Indiana. She could fit with a team like Las Vegas. Even though Las Vegas has shooters, because they got Kelsey Plum and they got Caleb. They just lost Caleb McBride. They have Chelsea Gray. But I'm just saying she could fit a team but Indiana stands out because Indiana's. I like Tiffany Mitchell and I like Danielle Robinson, but they need another shooter. Alana Coates, who I think played exceptionally well last season in the bubble for the Mystics. Again, I think they need a center presence for Washington down low. I think that there's some cases you just need another body to go alongside Tina Charles to bang down low. The same thing with like a Kalani Brown's a good example. Shatori Walker Kimbrough was a first round pick for the Mystics. Won a championship. It just makes no sense. Alex Bentley's another example. It makes no sense that we have all this talent just sitting out there and not getting an opportunity. And we can talk about expansion, the WNBA needs to expand, here, there. But at the end of the day, you need to look at the CBA, and we got to figure out how can we expand the rosters. I say you expand the roster to 15. And I agree with her. You need to protect the first round picks. Because, let me see, if I remember, I think Kalani was drafted 7th overall. Let me just make sure I have that right. Wait a minute. You're the 7th overall pick, you're Kalani Brown, and in less than 2 years, you're a free agent. That can't happen. You need to protect her. And Asia Durr, who's not playing, unfortunately, and it's sad because of COVID. I think unfortunately, I think she's just going to have. I think she's going to medically retire, and it's sad. And another thing is too, we need to also really consider the trade rights. I don't understand why we're trading. Like Katie Lou was traded from Chicago to Seattle, and she wasn't even her feet didn't get wet in Chicago. But I think that's just James Wade, and James Wade needs to just be a head coach, not a GM. I think there's guys who are a coach and a GM, and he's just not both. That's just my opinion. I don't know. It just pisses me off that we got this kind of talent just sitting there, just waiting for it to say, "Hey, we're interested in signing you," and it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that. But that's something as we know as WNBA fans and as the WNBA and as the players itself, they're really going to have that conversation. Now, also too, and speaking of the WNBA, I'm going to also do. Let's see where are we at right now within the season. We don't get an All-Star break because the Commissioner's Cup, and also too because the Olympics. So, so let's do this. Hold on. Let me just make sure I saw that right. I'm not sure if this. It said it was. I heard it wasn't going to be an All-Star game, and now there is an All-Star game. Okay, they haven't announced it yet. So when they announce the All-Star game for the WNBA, I'm going to do a review of this year's draft picks. I should have done it with last year's, and I should have done it the year before. That's okay. I want to read. We're going to do a redraft of the 2021 WNBA draft, and we're going to see each team that they hit or miss. So be on the lookout for that. Again, I guarantee my best Charles Barkley impersonation that they're going to snap that losing streak. They're done. They're going to get swept. I'm sorry. I love the Wizards, but this is a reality check. You just got to accept it. But with that being said, again, with the Ravens and the Washington football team, we're just at OTAs right now. So, I mean, training camp's looking good. No complaints there. As far as like for Julio Jones, I still think Baltimore could probably make a trade for him. I'm just and it makes sense. It has to be for the right price. I mean, he's 32. I mean, we probably could sacrifice maybe like a first round, a fourth, or a couple, the farm, and maybe a player or two, but we'll see. I'm confident maybe, Eric DeCosta could make a trade. I think a Julio Jones would complement Lamar. So we'll just continue to see. We'll continue to just follow the situation closely. It's kind of sad to see, they drafted Kyle Pitts, and I'm thinking like, okay, they're going to try to compete, and then turn around and say, well, we're done with him. We're done with Julio. So that kind of opens the door. If you're Calvin Ridley, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay or do you want to leave? And also T. Matt Ryan. So, but that's neither here nor there. But that's all I wanted to say. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know y'all thoughts, y'all reactions to the topics I touched on today. Any more topics you want me to discuss, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. Again, hit that like button, comment, subscribe, along with notification bells on. With that being said, I'm out. Peace. Stay up. Enjoy Memorial Day. Bye.